this morning? Isn't it good that we braved the cold, that we didn't make excuses? Because sometimes, doesn't that cover just feel so good? And that pillow and that last little ounce of sleep, I snoozed so many times this morning, but I knew I couldn't be late. I had to get here to be with my family right here in South Norwalk. Give yourselves a hand this morning. And while you're at it, when is the last time that you gave yourself a hug? When was the last time you did that? Or have you ever done that? Well, let's try to do it together this morning. Come on. Just take a deep breath. Come on, just go ahead and grab just one arm. Just go ahead. Go ahead. It's going to feel awkward, but then grab the other one. There you go. There you go. And then you just kind of move like this a little bit. And see if you can find a way to do this every day. See if you can just find a way. And then you add on looking in the mirror at yourself. And then you add on telling yourself that you love yourself. I know I'm supposed to be talking in the mic, but I hadn't hugged myself this morning yet either, so I had to do it with you all. Good morning, good morning, good morning. The book of Ecclesiastes reminds us that there's a time and a season for everything, but what happens when things come out of time and out of season and you're not expecting them? For instance, from the very beginning, we know that there were humans and there were tribes and gatherers and hunters and symbols and sounds that we become the foundation or root words of the languages that we speak today. There were traditions and communities and villages and rituals. There were rites of passages. Those transformative ceremonies marking key life stages: birth, childhood, puberty, preteen, teenage, young adult, marriage, separation, divorce, new love, elderhood, death. Parents and grandparents and community leaders are usually present to facilitate healthy transitions when these rites of passages occur. But what happens after their prescribed traditions no longer work for you? What happens when the urge to break free overwhelms us? What happens when we're in charge of our own next steps in order to become ourselves? What happens when one of us can no longer abide by the rest of our tribe, by what the rest of our tribe has already done? What happens when in honor to, okay, let me stop. What happens when in order to honor yourself, you attempt to free yourself in order to become yourself? History does not reveal to us her born name. It is, however, revealed that she was captured from the safety of her family's village in Senegal, off the coast of West Africa, where she was stolen, kidnapped, separated from her parents, her siblings, her tribe, torn from the arms of her family, thrown onto a ship occupied by hundreds, perhaps thousands, of what the slave masters referred to as cargo. She was taken away from tradition, language, rivers, streams, education, safety. The slave masters didn't care what her name was, and so she was named after the ship she occupied when she crossed the Middle Passage across the Atlantic Ocean. She saw many sickened and diseased elders, women, children, babies. However, she survived. She was purchased by Bostonians John Wheatley and his wife Susan Whitley. She came to be known as one of the first African American poets. Her name was Phyllis Wheatley. How on earth did she become a poet? Everyone knew that if you looked at paper or words that your eyes could be plucked out and God forbid you were trying to run away, your feet could be cut off. But when she was 7 years old, she learned to read and write because she was given permission on her plantation. Once her work was published, she had to carry around with her proof that she was the writer. And this proof came in the form of a written document signed by Mr. Wheatley and 18 other men, proving that she had indeed written those poems. One of her poems has this line: "Wisdom is higher than a fool could reach." Langston Hughes, also African-American poet. His hometown was Kansas. Later, he moved to Harlem, became a central figure during the period known as the Harlem Renaissance. Now, Langston Hughes knew that he was born in America, but he didn't feel quite accepted. And he wrote this poem titled, "I Too Sing America." Some of you have heard it before. I'm going to say it this morning. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh, eat well, and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I, too, am America. And then he went on to write a poem titled Dreams, only 2 stanzas. Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow. We are usually the first ones to know that we have outgrown the way our life is going. And we are the first ones to realize when perhaps we want to make a choice to go in a different direction than the one that's already prescribed for us. So usually we have the bar mitzvahs, or we have the sweet 16 parties, we have the parties when we turn 20 or 30 or 40 or 50. So what happens when you outgrow all of the things that you were told that you must do? What happens when you want to create your own rites of passage? Have we ever thought of that? Making our own path, celebrating what we decide to celebrate. Lorraine Hansberry was one of the first African-American female successful writers, and after years at the University of Wisconsin, she felt like she was wasting her time. And the last straw was when she was in a scenic design class, and she knew she deserved an A. She had worked hard for the A, and so when she got her grades and saw that she had failed, she was shocked and surprised and approached the professor, asked the professor why she was given the grade. The professor said that in his opinion, a black woman had no chance of succeeding in the theater. Well, she proved him wrong. Raisin in the Sun, on Broadway, on the big screen, the sign in Sidney Bernstein's window, and To Be Young, Gifted, and Black, and many, many more. She went on and was a great success. So just remember those things that somebody said to you, you shouldn't do that. You should leave that to somebody else. Go ahead and do it anyway. But do it your way. Don't try to mimic anybody else's voice, anybody's way of doing poetry, anybody's writing, anybody else who's opening up their own business. Do it your way. Have your grand opening in the way that it's supposed to be, that celebrates you. We are so much involved in mimicking each other. Oh, I want to look just like him. I'm going to wear that suit. What about that suit you have that you bought that's been sitting in the back of your car? What about that pen that's laying there that used to be your grandfather's that you might want to celebrate? Be yourself right here and right now. Rewrite the script. Rewrite your dream. Live on purpose. Check in with yourself. I taught a class at Unity of New York called Loving Yourself on Purpose, and maybe one time we'll do it here. But one of the things that you had to do every day was check in with yourself. How many of us get a chance to check in with ourselves on a daily basis? Okay, that's something we can start doing, right? Maybe one or two. Check in with yourself, and not just one time during the day, you know? Check in with yourself in the morning and do it again at noontime. Do it again before dinner. Do it as often as possible. Reconnect yourself with yourself so you don't feel separate from yourself. Winnie Mandela, a lot of people know her as the one who was married to Nelson Mandela, talked about when she was in jail in South Africa. She was a freedom fighter. And they tried to shut her up and shut her down so many times. But she said that one time she was in prison, and because the jailers wanted to degrade her even more than she was already degraded, they would kick her food into her, and or sometimes place her food on the little small toilet, and she would have to get it herself. Now that's extreme and it's not a good thing, but she says that they said to her that you cannot go to sleep, you have to stay awake. So they used these tactics to try to get her, off kilter, to try to make her forget that she was fighting for freedom. So she said that one day after she had been standing up for a very long time, she reached a threshold. And these are her words: I reached a threshold where the body could not take the pain anymore, and then I would faint. And when they threw a bucket of water to wake me up, it didn't matter that I was soaking wet. I got up and I was so refreshed. I started fighting all over again. I would fight for the last drop of blood. I was determined that I would be the woman to bring about change in South Africa, and she did. She brought about a lot of change in South Africa. So today is the perfect day for us to start bringing about change in our lives. What will you do differently? What will you say? What will you listen to? What will you write down? What will you do that is truly coming from you, that is truly yours? And times like this is a perfect time to ask, is this the me I plan to be? Is this who I am allowing myself to become? Is all well with me? I was at an event not too long ago, and I had performed. I was a little tired. And this lady came in with this big, it was big. It was like this size. And it was a basket, and it was zipped up, but when she opened it up, she started distributing soup. Hot, delicious soup. And she had cups of soup for anybody who wanted it. That soup was good. I said, how much is the soup? She says, it's nothing. I made the soup. I said, do you do this every day? No. You just did it today? Yes. It's cold outside. You all are here. I bought the soup. She bought soup. That soup soothed my soul because I was starting to feel a little bit under. You know how it is when the seasons change and you, as a performer, you have to just keep going and going and going. She bought soup. There's a kid who took his birthday money and made packages for homeless people. Soap and washcloths and toothbrushes and toothpaste and a little bit of a snack and a stress ball. He used his own birthday money to do that. A friend of mine named Dwayne used to cook big meals on Sunday. Big meals, meat and rice or chicken and rice or anything that was delicious. But by Wednesday, he would be done with it. So he would take these containers of Chinese food, Chinese containers, and put his food in it, not Chinese food. He would put, food in there and then go outside and take it to the homeless. During a snowstorm a few weeks ago, one of my neighbors came knocking on the door and said, do you need anything? I'm getting things for people who need something because that snow is really thick out there. So the real us is waiting for us to do what we are called to do. And what you are called to do is that special thing that nobody else can do it quite like you. Eric Butterworth says that the whole of God is present at every point in space at the same time. Take the time to meditate on that great idea. Let your rites of passage begin with calling forth the good in you at all times. What is it that you can do that others can benefit from? Think about that for a second. Pay attention to your energy circuits, your energy flow. What lifts you up? What takes you down? When you're around certain people, you feel light, 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 happy, happy, joyful, almost dancing. But then sometimes you're around another group of people in another place and you don't feel so good. So it's okay to make the decisions to be in places where you feel like you should be. What will you do for your rites of passage? Can you trust yourself more? Can you focus on yourself more? Will you celebrate just birthdays or will you celebrate other things? Celebrate that you got a new job. Celebrate that you lost a job and you're moving on to something better. Make it a habit to celebrate yourself and remind yourself that you are surely a masterpiece of enlightenment. Maya Angelou says in her poem, "And Still I Rise," "You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise." How will you rise? At the end of that poem, she says, "Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling. I bear in the tide, leaving behind nights of terror and fear. I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the gift and the hope of the slave." Please repeat after me. I rise.
I rise.
I rise.
I rise.
I rise.
I rise.
And so as you go forth this week, go ahead and write down what your rites of passage is going to be. Not the one that somebody said should be yours. Write it down for yourself. And go big with it. Let's not play small anymore. Come out from behind that curtain. Come out from behind that door. Come out from behind these feelings of, well, I'm too old now. Well, it's too late now. Well, I used to have those dreams when I was younger. You're younger now than you're going to ever be. This is the youngest you will ever be. It really is. Think about it. This is the youngest you will ever be. So hug yourself, appreciate yourself, acknowledge yourself as the masterpiece that you are, and that you are very much on purpose, and that now is the time for your rites of passage, and then go ahead and just get it done. God bless you. It's wonderful to see you again.